So I never really thought I'd be the one to share something like this, but here goes. My name's Jess, and a while back I decided to switch careers. Always had this fascination with mixology and thought, why not? Ended up enrolling in this bartending school next town over. The place was legit, with a decent rep and all, but there was this vibe. Can't really put my finger on it, but it felt off, you know? First day was pretty standard. Got the intro, met the instructors, and even made a few friends. There was this one instructor, though, Mr. Carter. Guy was brilliant behind the bar, but something about him was just unsettling. He had this way of talking, like he was always trying to convince you of something. And his lessons, man, they weren't just about drinks. He'd often go off on tangents about the power of persuasion, how the right word or the right gesture at the right time could completely change someone's decision. Interesting stuff, but kinda intense for a mixology class. A few weeks in, Mr. Carter announced this project. We were to create a signature cocktail, something that really represented us. But here's the kicker. We weren't just crafting a drink. We were to sell it, convince our classmates to choose ours over others. He made it sound like some sort of psychological battle royale, which, looking back, should have been my first red flag. I dove into it, though, got really into the psychology of taste and presentation. My drink was decent, but my pitch, thanks to Mr. Carter's tips, was on another level. I watched as classmates who were initially skeptical got swayed by my words, choosing my cocktail as their favorite. Felt good, but also kind of weird, like I was manipulating them. Things started to get really weird after that. Mr. Carter took a special interest in me, praising my natural talent for influence. He began sharing more about subliminal messaging, how certain words, images, even the music you play in the background could subconsciously sway people. He showed us examples, and it was freaky how effective they were. I started noticing little things around the school, subtle cues in the posters on the walls, the background music, even in the way Mr. Carter structured his sentences. It was like the whole place was designed to influence us in ways we weren't even aware of. It hit me one day, out of nowhere. I was practicing at the bar, alone, late in the evening. The school was practically empty, just me and the echoes of my thoughts. That's when I started putting it all together. The lessons, the assignment, the weird vibe of the school. It was all a setup. Mr. Carter wasn't just teaching us about bartending, he was experimenting on us, seeing how far he could push our minds, how easily he could manipulate us without us even knowing. I started seeing the signs everywhere, in every lesson, every casual conversation. It was like waking up to a reality that had always been there, hidden just beneath the surface. I confronted him about it, asked him straight up if it was all some sort of psychological experiment. He didn't deny it. Instead, he smiled, that eerie, knowing smile, and told me I was one of his most promising students. Said I had a natural talent for seeing beyond the obvious, for understanding the deeper, darker layers of human psychology. He offered me a chance to study under him, to learn the true art of manipulation and influence. But something in me just snapped. It was like his admission was the smack to the face I needed to break out of the trance. I realized I didn't want any part of it. The whole thing felt wrong, unethical. I dropped out the next day, left that world behind, but the lessons stuck with me. Looking back now, I can't help but see the subtle signs of influence everywhere I go. In ads, in conversations, even in the way a bar is set up. It's like I can't unsee it. But I've made a promise to myself to use that knowledge ethically, to be aware of when someone might be trying to manipulate me, and to never use those techniques to exploit others. It's a strange feeling, knowing what I know now. Part of me is grateful for the lesson, but another part wishes I could go back to being blissfully unaware. But you can't unring a bell, can you? So, yeah, that's my story. Not sure what you'll make of it, but if there's one thing I hope you take away, it's to always question the motives behind the words, the images, the music, because the mind is a fragile thing, easily influenced, and there are people out there who know exactly how to exploit that. Stay sharp, stay skeptical,